shuckers. just trying to see if you guys are a shucker crowd. No, okay. No, this is so exciting to be here. Welcome along. I've decided I want to be remembered. That is my goal in life. But the problem is that my memory is quite shit. And so, it makes it very hard to be a memorable person. Like, people's names, gone immediately. I'm just so bad with people's names. Like you, sir, what's your name? Evan. Classic. The opposite of odd, I guess. Probably when I meet people is I'll go, hi, my name's Melanie. And while they're saying their name, I'm not listening. I'm just thinking, I'm Melanie. Just thinking about my own name. But I do need to associate people's names with things or other people, and that's how I remember them. But that does backfire sometimes. Like, I was doing a gig back home in New Zealand, and I met my tech for my show, and she said her name was Jenny. And I was like, how do I remember this? Jenny. And then I remembered that my manager's name was Craig. Some of you can sense where this is going. So I was like, not only is this a great way to remember Jenny's name, but it's a fun way of introducing the two people to each other. So I was quite excited. I ran over, I grabbed Craig, I brought him over, and I just went, Jenny Craig. And just as a little extra joke, I went, first 4 months, half off. Just a fun little joke about their names. Jenny gave me nothing. She kind of went, haha. I was like, okay, bitch. I felt like it deserved more, and I kind of walked away in a bit of a huff, and I was like, oh, that was weird. That was a weird interaction with her. And so, obviously, with every weird interaction, I thought about that for 2 months. I thought about it for a while, and a little while later, I brought it up to my friend who actually, lived in the area. I was like, I did this weird interaction with this girl, Jenny, and I don't know why it went badly. And she was like, you're tech for your show? I was like, yes. She was like, Jenny? I was like, yeah. She was like, do you mean Danny? I was like, I see what I've done. In my mind, it was just like a fun joke about her name. And when I thought back on it, I thought I just sort of casually came over. But the more I think about it, and the more that I remember it, I think I was so keen to get this joke out. I didn't casually walk up to her. I think I grabbed Craig, a random man. She doesn't know his name is Craig. So I just strode over with a random man, looked her in the eyes. I thought I gestured. I don't even think I gestured. I think I just looked at her and went, Jenny Craig. Nice to meet you, lose weight. First 4 months, half off. No, that was a low light. But thinking about being remembered, I wanted to think about my highlights as well, my best memories. I thought about the best gigs I've ever done. I actually opened for Norah Jones. I know. I did comedy before a Norah Jones concert. Yeah, no one asked me to. Just thought that's what the people wanted. Come away with me. Couple of Nora fans. And the gig went surprisingly well. That's why I really enjoyed it, because I didn't expect it to go well, and it went well. And the guy who booked me for the gig, he held onto my number. And a couple days after Christmas, I get a phone call from him. So I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be another massive gig. Answer the phone. He goes, hey, Melanie, do you know who Eric Andre is? Yeah, a few murmurs. If you don't know, Eric Andre is a massive comedian in the States. I'm a huge... don't know why I'm still on the phone. Now I feel like I can't put it down. You'll think I've hung up. So I could just hold there for a sec. Now we're back to the shaka. a massive comedian in the States. I'm a huge fan, so I'm trying to contain my excitement, thinking, he's going to get me to open for him. Sorry about that. You're there. He goes, he's in New Zealand at the moment. I'm like, I know. I follow him in real life. And he goes, he's in New Zealand at the moment, and he's trying to find someone who can get him some mushrooms. What a spectacular fall from grace for me, because I was on that phone call thinking I was the best comedian for the job, and I got quickly humbled down to Mushroom Girl. I feel like I could hear the crack in my voice. Not that crack, otherwise I would have been a great person to call, but just that disappointment, because it also made me think, how does this guy remember me? Because he's put me in two wildly different categories. He's put me perfectly in between Norah Jones and psychedelic drug dealers. On one hand, I'm that guy you went to uni with who lives in a backpackers for some reason. But on the other hand, I'm the perfect person to entertain women in their 60s while they listen to some early 2000s jazzy pop. Anyway, I hooked him up. A gig's a gig. No, I'm quite afraid of drugs. I'm quite terrified of them, I'm afraid of a regular mushroom. A portobello freaks me out. Too fleshy. To give you an idea of how afraid of drugs I am, recently I had 2 antihistamines. And I looked at the packet, it said, take 1 a day. I was like, oh my God, I've OD'd. Is this how Amy Winehouse went out? I'm watching Euphoria I relate. Had to take a couple of prohistamines. People over here liked the Euphoria reference. People at the back were like, tell fast. It was like, oh, Jenny Craig. Keep up. No, it's a disaster. The thing about doing this as a job, though, is that you don't really know what you're going to be remembered for. You don't know exactly what's going to catch on. And this happened to me. I'd been doing comedy for 4 or 5 years, and then the lockdown came around, and I decided to spend my time locked in my house in New Zealand, dressing up as the New Zealand Prime Minister. Justinda Ardern. There's a few people going, you're not her? No refunds. But that was an odd thing that caught on here more than it did in New Zealand. You guys loved it for some reason. I was at home and I was getting phone calls from Australian radio stations, fucking Fitzo and Blippy or whatever. Whatever the fuck you guys call them, in New Zealand it's John and Karen. And it's beep bloop and bop boop. Anyway, I get phone calls from these Australian radio stations going, we love your Justinda impersonation. Can you come on our radio show and do your impression? And I'm like, that's weird. Because in those videos that I made, I used makeup to make my face look like Justinda, but I made no effort to change my voice whatsoever. I just have a New Zealand accent. They were like, it's perfect. I was like, a gig's a gig. Do you guys need some shrooms? The Justinda thing was weird because I was no longer recognised as Melanie Bracewell. I would just sort of, go about my life and people would spot me and go, Justinda. I think I got her some votes, you know. It would often happen at the club. I just heard one go, ooh. Yeah, it was an ooh of like, you don't go to the club. I dabble. I treat the boards. Pop a couple of antihistamines. Sick. So I would often get recognised by very, very drunk women, but they'd only recognise Justinda. They'd come up to me and they'd be like, hey, Justinda. I'm like, you seem like you're in a state to talk policy. And then, you know, I know in that moment they don't actually think I'm Justinda, but they're so wasted that I like to think that maybe the next morning, you know, in their hazy recollection of the night before, that they wake up, you know, pulling M&Ms from their McFlurry out of their bra, just going, yeah, I think I met Justinda last night. She was doing slut drops. Retirement looks good on her. I think she gave me MDMA. Didn't really feel anything, just cleared up my sinuses. That's quite rare for that to happen, for someone to actually come up and say that they recognise me in person, because I think Australians and New Zealanders were quite shy. What will happen is I'll just go about my day and then I'll get home and open up my Instagram message requests and there'll be a message from a stranger that says something like, just saw you. Spotted. It's quite scary, but sometimes it's really specific as well. I got one from this guy recently that said, just saw you on Smith Street, looking so sweaty after your workout. Horrifying. But made worse by the fact that at that time, I was on my way to my workout. I'm just a sweaty person. It's terrible. I know I shouldn't read my messages. I know I shouldn't, but I'm a comedian and I have a lot of time on my hands. Like, if you want to contact a comedian, you can. I read all my messages. I get so sucked in by it. I always think that. I think to myself, as I'm reading them, I've got way too much time on my hands. And then sometimes I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, if you ever feel like, oh, I've got too much time on my hands, maybe I should be doing something productive. And then you see someone and you're like, oh, they've definitely got too much time on their hands. I'm fine. I realised this when I was buying eggs online. Yeah, I like to party. And I was buying eggs online. I was buying it on online grocery shopping on the Woolworths website. And I saw that the eggs that I was buying had a rating of 4.2 stars. There's people out there spending their time reviewing eggs. Like, it wasn't the health star rating, it had that as well. This was user reviews. I was like, I'm fine. Why do you need to review an egg? It's an egg. Who's having an egg, a food that's been around unchanged for thousands of years, and gone, I've got some notes. If you could pass this on to the chicken. The chicken passes that on to the egg. And so on and so forth. I'll tell you who's reviewing these eggs. 500 people. 500 reviews, 46 pages. I read them all. I've got a lot of time on my hands. I got obsessed with them. I got obsessed. There's also people out there that review cat food. here's the kicker, in character as their cat. Like, if you look it up, you can look it up when you get home, like Fancy Feast website. There's like reviews and they're like, every morning I go over to my bowl and I'm so excited to eat my Fancy Feast. It's fucked. And I assume they're writing it in character as their cat. Otherwise, Fluffy is a weird woman. Back to the eggs, because, I loved reading them. Because the reviews for the eggs are what you'd expect a review for an egg to be. One of them just said, tasted the same as any other egg. 3 stars. I was like, how much better than tasting like other eggs can you get that's a good egg in my books. The 5-star reviews are even more illuminating. Because these people had an egg and had an amazing experience. My favourite 5-star review was from this guy called Nigel. Page 36. Check it out. Check this when you go home, it's fun. I just have nothing else to do. This guy from Nigel, it's 5 stars. It said, incredible, colour and taste, life-changing egg. And I was like, oh no, Nigel, how bad is your life going? That an egg is really turning things around. I was very, very worried for him, you know. The weird thing about it as well is, you know, the eggs, they're 4.2 stars. My show that I did in the comedy festival before this show, the age rated it 4 stars. I got beaten by a fucking egg. Do you know how humbling that is? Now every time I have an egg, I've got tall poppy syndrome. Like, you think you're better than me? Look who's beating who now. I get sucked in by that sort of stuff. Reviews, love reviews. If someone recommends me something, I have to have it. But I'm also very cheap, so it's like a constant battle in my brain. I fell into this trap recently. I fell into a trend. I bought a weighted blanket. So, who has a weighted blanket? Make some noise. Woo! Lady over there that raised your hand. Yeah, boom. She's got it right now. What's your name? A sheeter. A sheeter is what you have under the blanketer. I promise I've never met her. That was... No, but it's not. It's a she-da. A she-da. Oh, you fucked it. She has a blanket. You've got a weighted blanket. You love it? Yes. Oh, fuck. Oh, I hate mine so much. It's so bad. Are you in a relationship, Ashita? Oh, there? Oh, I thought the opposite. Not that I thought the opposite. Not that I... You look alone. I just thought, you know, who needs a man when you got your blanket to weigh you down? You like your weighted blanket. That's a shame. I hate it so much. If you don't know what a weighted blanket is, it's a blanket but heavier. Dipshits. Being very mean to the crowd tonight. But what they're supposed to do is that the weight of the blanket is supposed to relieve any sort of anxieties that you might have, because that's what anxious people need, pressure. Exactly right. And I wasn't feeling super anxious at the time, but they're really expensive. How much is yours, Ashita? I don't know, she's rich. Well, I've got 10 of them. Didn't even notice. No, they're so expensive, right? How much? 150. Wow. And if you guys are shocked by that, I spent $200 for this weighted blanket. And because I'm quite cheap, like, I wasn't feeling anxious when I bought it. Like, I just wanted to be involved. Everyone was talking about their weighted blanket. I wanted to be part of the conversation. I'm quite cheap. So as soon as I saw that $200 leave my account, I was suddenly feeling very anxious. I was like, how soon can it get here? But they take ages, I guess, because they're heavy. Postman's got to lug it onto the van. It takes a week. I hate it so much. It's too heavy. It's really hard. Like getting out of bed is already a difficult task. Now I've got to bench press my way out. I'm like, I'd like to have breakfast. Can you spot me? I hate it so much. I don't know why I bought it as well. It's not like my previous blanket was too light. It's not like I was sleeping under wrapping paper. Just being like, there's got to be a better way. Every time I open my window, my blanket flies out. And a gust of wind. Everything is harder. You know, making the bed is harder. You know this bit? I feel like I'm doing battle ropes. It's why I turn up to the gym sweaty. It's a disaster. I hate it so much. Thing is, and not to brag, I do have a boyfriend. And I got a king-size one, assuming that he would love it. He hates it. But I've spent the money on it, I have to use it. So now I've got to fold it over. It's twice the weight on me. You know, which I think is a metaphor for being a woman in a straight relationship. Just carrying twice the weight. You know, he floats out of bed. Bye, honey, off to earn 20% more. That's a joke. He's unemployed. I'm a sugar mama. Like, I hate it so much. Every morning I'm recreating 127 hours. It's a nightmare, you know. Tried to make a blanket fort for my niece. She's dead now. We don't know. She's still under there, but yeah. No, I love my family. I love my nieces and nephews and everything. I also love hanging out with the older members of my family. My granddad, 92 years old, he's a great hang, right? He had to get an eye test done recently, and he drove us to the eye test. And I've never been to an eye test before. Brag. I just made eye contact with two people in glasses. Actually, there's all of them are over here. It's spreading. Suck it. But never been to an eye test before, but they were what I expected them to be. You know, they're that bit of paper, letters on it. Classic. The lady goes, "Can you take your glasses off?" He takes his glasses off. She goes, "Can you read the first line?" And my granddad says no, which I didn't realise was an option in an eye test. You can just choose not to play. This is where it got weird. And I don't know if anyone can back me up on this. I've never heard of this happening before. Like, it just shocked me. She opens up her drawer and pulled out another bit of paper with bigger letters on it, slotted it into the frame. You can just say no and they give you an easier test. Also, I didn't understand the logic of a whole nother bit of paper. Just like move him closer. Surely. So she goes, okay, have a go now. My granddad looks at it for a while. He's done many eye tests in his life, by the way. He's lived a long life. He's done many eye tests. He knows what an eye test is. He knows that they're supposed to be letters. Which is why his answer blew me away. He looks at it for a while and he just goes, I see leaves. Can I remind you, he drove us to the eye test. He was on the roads and amongst people and their families. Like, it made me rethink everything. Like that story he told us about how he backed into a pile of leaves and it screamed. So come to think of it, it wasn't even autumn. You guys won't believe what happened next. What do you think, Evan? I'm giving you quite a big clue. Another sheet of paper. One fucking letter on it. I had to stop myself from laughing out loud. I am not making this up. People ask me, did that really happen? Legitimately. The letter K, huge. I was shocked. I was like, surely we end the test. Surely we know enough by now. Like, if you were to do a regular, like, practical driver's test, and they were like, can you start the car? And you said, what's a car? All I see is leaves. I feel like they'd end it right there. If you were to do a job interview and they're like, what's your strengths? And you said, pass. I feel like they'd end it there, but they continued. Letter K. Granddad looks at it for a while and he's figured out that they're letters. He figures out it's supposed to be letters and not lettuce. He looks at it for a while and he starts to guess. And you can tell he's guessing because they're quite obvious guesses. He goes, is it an A? She says, no. He goes, is it a B? And I'm reaching the point where I wouldn't be surprised if the person was like, he does get 26 guesses. But that was where she finally decided to call it. She goes, okay, we've seen enough. I'm like, you've seen enough. He hasn't seen shit. She goes, we've seen enough, you can put your glasses back on. He puts his glasses back on, starts trying to rejoin the test. He can see it nice and clear, he just starts shouting, K, K, K. The worst letter to scream 3 times. There's people in the waiting room being like, what is this test? I do need to let you know now, though, he no longer has a license. He's also not a white supremacist. You know, he doesn't see colour. Yeah. It's really beautiful. I've been thinking about my family a lot. I've got a lot of siblings. I'm the youngest of 6 siblings. I'm 27. My elder sister is in her 40s. Massive gap between us as well. But my sister, who I'm closest with in age, me and her did not get along at all as kids. We're great friends now, but as kids we fought so much. Classic sibling rivalry. And in her defence, I was very sensitive. I was a very sensitive child. But in my defence, She was a massive bitch. And if you want to hear her side, I guess she can do a comedy special. But I do want to be fair to her, and I thought the fairest way to present our relationship at the time would be to read you something that I wrote at the time when I was 7 years old. I found my story writing book when I was at school, where you write down what you got up to at home and then the teacher marks you on your writing. And I found a story recently that concerned me. And I thought I'd read it to you guys now, and you guys can determine maybe who was in the right in this situation. Does that sound good? All right, we'll do that. Thank God, because it's part of the show. I know, so cute. You don't see this like pretty little contact paper anymore, you know? All the kids are shopping at those kitschy stationery shops, you know? Typo, yeah, office works for basic bitches. We get those notepads that say stuff like eat, sleep, repeat. You're like, that sounds like depression. So there's heaps of stories in here of when I was a kid. She's not attached anymore. It's like that old. But I'm legitimately going to read you word for word. I've not changed anything since what I wrote as a 7-year-old. The only little bit of context that you need to know is that my sister's name is Cherie, and someone gasped. She's here. My sister's name is Cherie, and my mum at this time had a sore throat. So I go, Okay. You ready? Okay, thank you. On Tuesday after school, my mum felt sick in the neck. I think I didn't know how to spell throat. So I found a little workaround. My dad said for her to go to the doctor, but Mum said she was too sick in the neck to go anywhere. Then Dad said, if it's that bad, you'll have to go to the doctor. But she couldn't get out of bed, so Dad helped her out of bed, and Mum and Dad went to the doctor. A lot of admin at the top. I hadn't quite nailed word economy. But I feel like it just sets the scene. It's important. Dad drove the car because Mum was sick in the neck. The doctor's was far away. They went to the far one because every other doctor's was all too much money. Little insight of where I get my cheapness from. While they went to the doctor's, I stayed at Victoria's house. Cherie was trying to hit us with a golf club. So we hid in the bathroom and we locked the door. When we went out, she tricked us because she said, I'm going home now. And when we opened the door, she was there. She hit us with the golf club. Victoria was acting like a cowgirl because she was going yippee-i-oh after she hit us with the golf club. So she was into it. We quickly closed the door and locked the door, but when I went out, I saw her straight away. But then she hit me in the face. Then I started to cry because she hit me in the face. And it really hurt, but it only hurt in the face. It's like classic younger sibling optimism, just happy to make it out there alive. Then Victoria's mum got angry at me because I was crying, and I always cry. I was a sensitive little child, okay? The story kind of goes on, and I talk about having a relatively normal day after that, going to the beach and just having a great day. But at the end of this long story, the weird thing is that my teacher has just given me like a Mickey Mouse sticker and written a fantastic recount. Like, amazing you could remember all that with all the brain trauma. He's edited other parts of the story as well, because I know he's read it, because he's changed parts, you know. The bit where it says, when we opened the door, she was there. I've written, and she hit us with a golf club. He's crossed out and, like, no, start a new sentence there. So I don't know who's in the right. I read that story at her wedding. I know, she got married. I thought that was water. That is gin. Fuck yeah. Before I tell you this story, I will let you know that I've processed this and I think this is very funny. It's not that bad. My mum reminded me of this recently. He did this exercise in our class. We're about 7 years old, did this exercise in our class where he was like, write down the names of the 3 people in the class that you like and the 3 people in the class that you do not like. How fucked is that? That's not a classroom exercise. That's a challenge on RuPaul's Drag Race to cause the most amount of friction as possible. It was so fucked. And so they did that exercise, and he called an emergency parent-teacher interview with my parents because he was so concerned because I didn't appear on anyone's list, good or bad. I simply did not exist. It was weird because I was quite an attention-seeking child, and no one noticed. It was such a crazy thing. But I thought it was so weird because I was the only one he did that for. I was the only person he called an emergency parent-teacher interview with. He didn't do it for the girl who appeared on the most disliked list over and over again. He was like, yeah, Sarah's a bitch, but at least she's not bland. I'd be concerned about the girl who appeared on the most liked list over and over. Because I feel like your popularity in life is a parabola. I'd be calling up her parents like, we're really concerned. We think she's peaking in year 2. It's like my whole class looked at me and they were like, we see leaves. I was thinking heaps about my family, and I was thinking about how I would be remembered and all that kind of stuff. And my reason why I decided to talk a bit about memory was I've been doing this show a little while. I did it for about a month or so, and then I got the horrible news that my granddad, who I talked about earlier, actually did pass away. He was 92 years old, but it was really devastating for me. He was my last remaining grandparent. I was really sad, and I thought, okay, well, I'll obviously just take that part out of the show. I'll get rid of it. Doesn't feel right. And then I remembered that when I told my granddad that he was going to be a part of my comedy show, oh, he was so stoked. I told him, I was like, I'm going to tell that eye test story. And he was like, this is better than being on The Chase. Which is just so adorable because he's never been on The Chase. I just think that's his idea of the peak of showbiz. It's to be on The Chase. It's like Oscar being on The Chase, winning The Chase. Because my papa, he was my biggest fan. He was so lovely. He was so supportive. I remember I'd go and visit him at the rest home, and the lady at reception would be like, you know, Les has been talking about you. He's been telling us all about your show, The Cheap Sheets. I was like, oh no, he's found the porno spin-off. of our TV show, The Cheap Seats. My pop was so excited. He goes, I knew I was going to be famous. That's what he said. And the weird thing is that my papa, my granddad, sort of is a little bit famous. My granddad is a meme. He really is. He's a meme titled Cauliflower Granddad. Oh, some people are familiar. Okay, it's a photo of him. He grew a massive cauliflower in his garden. He was so proud of it. I took a photo of him with his big cauliflower, and it went crazy. People loved it. 1 million likes. People were like, I want Cauliflower Granddad to be my granddad. People were stoked. Papa was so stoked that he was going viral, you know, a different kind of viral than he's used to. It was amazing. He was so excited. I was like, you got 1 million likes. He was like, do I know any of them? I was like, how many of your friends at the rest home are on Tumblr? But my papa is so, so lovely. He had, you know, all the love in the world for everyone. When I told him, I want to put you in this show, he goes, you can do it. You can do it on one condition. As long as you tell the audience, I love them. I know. And it's just like, as I was going to take that part of the show out, I thought, I can't do it because I promised that I would tell this group of 800 strangers in Melbourne that Cauliflower Granddad loves you. Shuckers. And that love he had for complete strangers he'd never met is something that I wanted to apply to my life. And it's quite odd that I've got this obsession with memory because, not to keep bringing it up, but I do have a boyfriend. And we've been together for quite a while now, but for the first 6 months of our relationship, he had severe short-term memory loss. Yeah, legitimately, that 100%, just full short-term memory loss. To the point where he basically couldn't create new memories, which is the perfect foundation for a new relationship. And it was, by the way, before I get into this, he's fine now. He's fine, his memory is back to normal, he's completely fine, but for this 6 months, he just couldn't remember anything. And I need to tell you that now, because you need to get on board. I've written my favourite joke of the show about this, so climb aboard. Essentially, it got to the point where it was so bad that he couldn't remember anything in his day-to-day life, basically. So we'd spend the day together, and then in the evening, I'd have to remind him, like, what we got up to that day. I'd throw in things to make him happy, like 8 blowjobs. And it was just a random medical event. It's not like anything obvious had caused it as well. It's not like he met my sister. And a short time after that, the memory loss kicked in. It was just totally random. But the reason our relationship could still work and it wasn't a full, like, 50 first date situation is his short-term memory was gone, but his long-term memory was fine. And we actually knew each other quite well, because we went to school together. He was the teacher. Just kidding. For legal purposes, that is a joke. My boyfriend is not a... What's the male version of a cougar? A predator. I'll tell you, before I tell you more about the memory stuff, I'll tell you a little bit about Sean, because I love him. He's the love of my life. I know that. But he is a nerdy little loser. To give an example, we're moving here to Melbourne. We're on the plane. I see he's using the plane Wi-Fi to search for the phrase Australian singles. Yeah. I was like, what is this bastard up to? We haven't even arrived yet. He's trying to cheat on me in advance. I asked him about it. I was like, why are you searching that? He's like, I'm trying to find a website in which I can buy single Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards. And I was like, oh, that's so much worse. I wish he was cheating. Would have been easier to explain to my parents. I was quite nervous to tell my parents I was in a relationship. I was nervous to tell anyone, really, because I developed this rule of not telling anyone I was dating anyone until it had been about 3 months, you know, because you feel like that first 3 months, it's a bit dicey, you're not sure, and it could fall apart at any moment. And I kept doing that where I'd start dating someone, I'd tell everyone, I'm like, by the way, I'm dating someone. Then like a week later, I'd be like, by the way, never mind. So being that 3 months. Not everyone follows that rule, by the way, but they are stupid. Dear friend of mine, she does not follow that rule. She was in our group chat recently. She messages us. She's like, hey guys, me and my man's 6-month anniversary is coming up. I don't know what to get him. What should I get him? I was like, oh, I didn't even know you had a man's. When's your 6-month anniversary? She was like, September. I was like, bitch, that's 5 months away. Don't get him anything. She's good. No, I do like her. She does have pyramid scheme energy, but... So, it had been about 4 months. I decide, finally tell my mum. I say, I'm in a relationship. Also, he's got short-term memory loss. And I think she was so excited by the first part, she did not give a shit about the second part. So the first thing that Sean was trying to do at this time to try and solve this problem was he was trying to get an appointment at the memory doctor, which is a thing. And he couldn't get an appointment because they were fully booked out, which I thought was very funny. Because I was like, surely you could just turn up. I get the feeling some people might miss their appointment for the memory doctor. And I still maintain to this day, I feel like the memory doctor was a little bit of a scam, okay? So each session with the memory doctor cost $400. 2 weighted blankets. $400. You had to have multiple sessions. If you did not turn up to a session, they still charged you the full amount. And they did not send reminder texts. Yeah. But joke's on them because Sean forgot to pay. I was optimistic at first. I was optimistic for the memory doctor. We finally got an appointment. We get into the waiting room. We sit down on the couch and it's memory foam. I'm like, these guys are good. They don't miss a trick here. But then it quickly I became unsure. The first thing the memory doctor got Sean to do was a depression test. And, you know, he's not feeling depressed at all at this time, by the way. Like, in his mind, he's getting 8 blowjobs a day. He's living his best life. Has anyone done it? I know this is a weird question to ask, but has anyone done a depression test before? Make some noise. Woo, yeah. Yeah. Someone did a yee-haw, like less so. The only reason I'm asking that is because I've done it before, and I just want you to back me up that there's a weird question about halfway through the depression test, which is, how indecisive are you? Then you've got to choose between 1 and 10. Like, I'm there the whole time, like, oh my God, I don't know. Anyway, he does the depression test. The results come back. He has no signs of depression. This is where I was like unsure about this guy. He was like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like you're depressed, but we're just going to give you some antidepressants anyway, just in case. And I was like, oh, like it feels like antidepressants are so useful. They're so helpful. I've been on them before. I think they're an amazing resource, but they're not just like a just in case thing, I feel. It's not like pop them like a Barocca in the morning. Just in case. But he goes on them anyway. He goes on them for a few months and he's noticing no difference. He's just kind of getting the side effects and not really any results. His memory is still gone. And I go, finally, after it's been a while, I think we should get a second opinion. And I believe that. I believe that opinions are like assholes. Better to have 2. I thought this with therapy. Like, when I had my first experience with therapy and it wasn't good, I didn't know that you could just get another therapist. I thought that would be like cheating. Like, I had to pretend that I was like, oh, I'm cured, by the way. Because it's so hard to find a therapist in the first place. The way you do it, if you don't know, good on you. But well done. But you weren't attacked by a golf club. And what you do is you Google therapist near me. You know, I don't want to travel. And you go to a website and it'll be like just like a bunch of random strangers' faces, and you go, oh, you look happy. And then you read their bio and it's just a list of all their favourite kinds of trauma. And you're like, you seem fun. My first experience with therapy was not good. It was this lady and she was very spiritual. And I think spirituality is great if you are spiritual. I'm not. I'm very logical. She was very namaste. And I was like, I don't want to stay. She would do this thing where I would be like, oh, I'm feeling angry about this. And she'd be like, what colour is your anger? And I'd be like, I don't think that way. And she would press me on it. She'd be like, you have to participate. And I'd be like, okay, red. And she'd be like, you're making so much progress. I was like, no, I had just recently watched the movie Inside Out. I was just imagining those little guys running around. The other thing she'd do is, as she was talking to me and asking me questions, she would cross and uncross her legs and basically show me her entire crotch. It was very distracting. She'd be like, what colour is your anger? I'd be like, red and lacy. She'd be like, when did your problem start? I'd be like, the Bush administration. So after about 6 months of all of this happening and Sean not getting better, I just bring him along to my GP just to see if she has any other ideas of what it could be. And it was just like our first moment of hope. She listed off a bunch of different things it could be, but she's like, well, first of all, you've had a blood test, right? And he's like, I can't remember. So Sean goes and gets a blood test. The results come back, and it turns out he was severely B12 deficient. He's a vegetarian, and get this, he stopped eating eggs. That's what caused the deficiency, and in turn the memory loss. Like he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. Eggs can be life-changing. I wish you guys could have been inside my brain when we found out it was eggs. I was losing my mind. I was like, it was eggs this whole time. You know that girl in your friend group that's like, I just need my Sunday brunch. Believe her. She's on to something. So Sean had to get a B12 shot, because when you're that deficient, you can't just slam an omelette. Like, you have to get, like, what I assume is the yolk just injected directly into your veins. I'm not a scientist. So the doctor was like, you'll notice a difference right away. And I would say within maybe 2 minutes. It was crazy. He was holding a polystyrene cup of water. The B12 went in. He crushed the cup in his hands and said, I'm so powerful. It was like he'd acquired all of the Infinity Stones. It was amazing. He was just fine. Like, he just basically, within the week, it was slowly sort of getting better and better and better until his memory was back to normal. And it was just so absurd. And since he got this checked out and since he came to my doctor, he also opened up about a couple other things that he's been struggling with. He's realised he's lived his entire life with ADHD and not known. And he's given me permission to talk about this, by the way. I'm not just laying out all of his medical history. I did ask him on a no-egg day. But made me so sad for him as well, because imagine having ADHD and severe short-term memory loss at the same time. Like, he was just wandering around his house being like, well, I think I'm hyper-focused on something. And it's so weird for me because I always thought, because I'd been single for so long, I thought I was single because I had really high standards. Then this shriveled little man came into my life. I was like, come to mama. Got myself a little do-up. You can't build a man, but you can renovate. So that 6 months of his life, still a blip. Still can't remember that 6 months, which is strange because we started dating at the beginning of that 6 months. So in his mind, he was just in a medical clinic. A girl he went to school with wandered in and went, I'm your girlfriend, by the way. Don't question it. Little memories come back here and there sometimes. Like if it's a repetitive thing, he sometimes goes, oh, I've remembered something. He remembers one thing, which was every night before he went to bed, he remembers walking past the kitchen, looking at the toaster and seeing cold toast. So what would happen is every morning he'd get up and be like, toast for breakfast this morning. Go about his whole day, go, all right, bedtime. Fuck. Kind of like an involuntary low-carb diet. Like, if you want to get rid of bread, first get rid of eggs. So we've since looked up the memory doctor online and seen his reviews. 1.5 stars. We should have known that the eggs were going to be better just on reviews alone. We spent $1,200 with this guy, 3 sessions, $1,200 for him to give us no valuable information. Apart from randomly in conversation, he recommended these kiwi fruit ice blocks. And they're so yummy. Kiwi fruit, or as we say in New Zealand, fruit. They're so yummy. And I had one the other day and I was like, I think it was all worth it. So he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. I guess Big Pharma wins either way. And that's the show. Thank you very much, Melbourne. You guys have been amazing. Have a good night.